Brian Punman.
Is now joining.
Yeah.
One interchange that was under environmental review at that time. Which I thought that would have, all their design would have been done before it went to environmental review.
Well, they've done more than acceptable now, but I don't think they're at final.
They said they were undergoing environmental review. That was last fall, wasn't it, when the governor announced that? Maybe I don't understand what environmental review is on a federal project.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Well, there's about
All right,
10
I've got
agencies.
4 o'clock, so I'd like to call the
I
meeting
can
to
talk
order.
to you all about it.
Roll call, please.
Cindy Fox Griffey, here. Debbie Haley, here. Matt Johannesson,
Here.
Scott Kochmeyer.
Here.
Dan Coons. Here. Rick Masterson. Brian Pudman.
Here.
Dick Ruffcard. Robert Schmidt.
Here,
Michael Steiniger. He's online. And James Fagnoni.
Thank you. At this time, we would open public comment.
I think she wants to speak.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Oh, we've got one ahead of you. We'll be right with you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. If you want to introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, my name is Rose Zook, and I'm here in opposition to the Lake St. Louis Boulevard extension. And as you can see, it says no amount will help save the bees in our forest and our trees. I apologize, I'm pretty new with this. Here we go. And I expressed my opposition to this. All the residents,
Back in the back, can you share her, that's not showing up on our screen on the outside.
There it is now.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Go ahead.
oh, so you didn't see the bee?
No, they didn't.
There's the bee. The bees who also help with water. All the residents that are in Preston Woods, that are in Wesley, that's down off of Dyer, they all paid extra money to have their houses built by the forest, by all the trees, the wetland that has beavers, deers come out there, including an eagle nest, which I haven't verified yet. There were some, I actually did go to the Corps of Engineers, got some of their information about permits and what they haven't seen yet from the county. And this is the original, this is not the original route that this is supposed to be taken. That's changed and moved over to Preston Woods even more. There's one that I really want you to see. This is what the Corps
Do we have a
sent.
copy of this?
I can give you a copy.
Yeah.
Oh, he put it in
That's
here. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what the Corps of Engineers actually sent to multiple Indian tribes. So they show on this drawing that there's historic buildings still on there. and other items. That's the original route, using Curtis Lane, going down off of Paul Renaud. And even in between that lane, there's property that belongs to Preston Woods on the left side and on the east side. So east and west side, that property belongs to Preston Woods. This just shows you what I was talking about, where Curtis Lane originally was and where they're planning on putting the road, and taking property away from the owner who is off Lynette Drive, off of Dyer Road. And when I get verification of the Eagles, I will let you guys know. Some things that the residents want you to know is that they want, if they're going to do it, go ahead and do it. They want trees to be replaced. Keep it as natural as it is now. It doesn't get mowed. It's not grass and sod put down. It's all natural. And so they want to keep that.
You're a lot of time, so.
Am I past?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
So, have you talked to, I just wondered, have you talked to Lake St. Louis, and what are they saying?
It's O'Fallon.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you.
That's okay.
Yes, it's O'Fallon from Preston Woods, but when you get down to the bottom of Preston Wood where that green line is, that's St. Charles County
Okay.
with the bridge going over a wetland and destroying the habitat that all these people paid for.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Dino, if we're ready, if you want to start, I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Road Board. My name is Norman TV, AC Knox County State Public Advocate. And just looking over the agenda from last month, watching the project presentations, we have a lot of projects from various municipalities, including our county highway and transportation departments. We have more requests than we have the $30 million that's available in the asset sales tax that's collected this year from our 433 county residents and visitors to our county. This will make, we need projects that will make a real effect, make a real difference in residents' lives across St. Charles County. We need to look at one, priorities. Number one is safety, two is traffic flow, three is reduction in accidents and injuries, and four, we need to look at projects that are critical to our county transportation infrastructure over want and pet projects that may have an effect on various neighborhoods. We need to make sure that in the enhancement of these projects, that there's proper return on investment to the majority of county residents versus a isolated neighborhood or small community project. Last year, in years past, there's been developed by staff a scoring system. And I would ask that we make that scoring system a matter of public disclosure, that we post it on the County Department of Transportation or Road Board's website, for our county residents to have access to read, digest, and understand the scoring process with definitions and what each score actually means, and what the breakdown of scores for the various projects that have been presented over last month and this month. I think that scoring project is very important for transparency of the use of the asset sales tax, which generates over $30 million annually. And I think that we owe it to our residents to be as transparent and as open with full disclosure of how we do apply with these decisions. But we need to look at these projects that are going to have an effect countywide and the most effect on our county residents versus a pet economic development project that should be paid for by the general fund of the various municipalities. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to hearing discussion about the scoring system and about my presentation and my public testimony, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Any other additional public comment at this time? Hearing none, public comment will be closed. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the 2025 to 2027 TIP application presentations. And if we can start off with the City of St. Peters, please.
Good evening, Road Board. For those of you that know me, Mike, I'm Amanda Rich. I'm the Director of Transportation for the City of St. Peters. I think it's the first time I've presented since you've been here, so. Well, all right. Oh, don't I know how to use this thing? There we go. All right, so I've got 3 applications the city submitted to the road board this year. The first project is the Jongerman Road resurfacing project, phase 2. A little confusing, phase 1 hasn't been funded yet, but we were able to get phase 2 funded from East West Gateway. So this section is between McClay Road and 364, the MoDOT right of way down there on the south end. The existing condition is basically, the city went in a few years back and we did a large amount of partial depth pavement repair on the joints, just in order to get us by until we were able to come back to East West Gateway and apply for funding and get that funding to do a larger project. So a lot of that joint repair is starting to fail. We've got some additional cracking in the slabs. The sidewalk is failing in multiple locations, got a lot of trip hazards. Doesn't meet ADA compliance. So those are things that we want to address with this project. The project scope, remove and replace all the damaged roadway slabs, diamond grind the roadway surface when we're finished, make it nice and smooth. We'll replace all the pavement marking and then install inlaid pavement markers. Remove and replace all the sidewalk, and then upgrade the pedestrian crossings at the signalized intersections, which would be Queensbrook and McClay. Basically, we want to extend the useful life of the roadway, provide a nice smooth driving surface, improve the visibility of those lane lines during nighttime and wet conditions with the inlaid pavement markers. And then when we're finished, provide an ADA compliant path for bicyclists and pedestrians and at the signalized crossings and, throughout. So it's our standard resurfacing project that we typically do. So and this project's value is 176 million. We were successful in acquiring 80% federal funding, so we're requesting from the road board 16%, so 80% of our local match for a total of $508,000. Our second project is the Spencer Road Multi-Use Path Phase 1. This project is located along Mexico Road. It's going to start down at City Center Park and extend up along the creek, kind of go along the north side. You can see along the north side of Mexico Road. It'll tie into a little piece of path that the city's Parks Department has already installed. And then on the north end of where they've stopped, we'll cross a creek, continue along the creek to the north, and then go along the south side of Executive Center Parkway over to the Spencer Road intersection. The existing condition of the path that we do have out there today, it's right there against traffic. I mean, it goes through one of our busier intersections in the city, the Spencer and Mexico intersection. So somebody on a bike or walking has to traverse that intersection, and that's could be a safety issue. So the idea is we can kind of move those folks out of traffic, away from traffic, along a much nicer route, much more peaceful, less stress route. Project scope is to install a new multi-use path, basically relocating the alignment of our existing Spencer Creek path, which will eventually become the Centennial Greenway. So once we complete multiple phases of upgrading this path, GRG is going to designate this as the Centennial Greenway. So this is one step in that direction. We'll upgrade the pedestrian crossings at the signals. When you get to the bridge, yeah, I'll go back. Oh no. Oh shoot. Sorry, I was trying to go backwards and I'm just going forwards. Let me get there. That's right. Up on the, I don't know if you guys can see this. Oh no. I'm technologically challenged, guys. I'm sorry. This is not my, there we go. Sorry, I was trying to point out to you, but up along Executive Center Parkway, where there's a bridge for the creek crossing, instead of widening the bridge, we got a little creative. We're gonna move the bridge barrier that exists over a few feet to widen our pedestrian path so that we don't have to widen the bridge. So a huge cost savings. Relocate that barrier, and then once we're finished with that, we'll put an epoxy polymer overlay across the bridge deck to fill in any of the divots and damage that might be created from removing that bridge barrier. And then also across the rest of the bridge deck to create a nice uniform surface and seal up any cracks that we have. And then replace the guardrail to bring it all up to current standards. So the overall goal is to improve the bike pedestrian safety. Again, move them away from traffic, get them out of the traveled way for vehicles as much as we can. Provide an ADA compliant bike ped path and on the signalized crossings, provide a compliant path. Improve the visibility of the crosswalks. We'll put in the high vis crosswalks, the big blocks, to try to bring more attention to those areas where a lot of bikes and pedestrians will be. And then extend the useful life of the deck of the bridge, create that uniform path surface, and then provide compliant guardrail. The overall project cost is $1.6 million. We only asked for 75% from East West Gateway because we were able to receive a TAP grant, which is only, you're only allowed to use that for bike ped improvements, and we wanted to add a couple of maintenance items to the project, so we were only able to get 75% federal funding, and we're asking for 80% of the local match, which is 20% of the project.
Did you secure that funding also?
We did, yep. Yeah, we've been
Congratulations, that's good.
very successful, so. And then the last project is the Mid-Rivers Mall Drive multi-use path. We've talked about this one a few times before, but located between Route N and MoDOT's right away at 364 along the east side of the roadway. Existing condition is, it's not ADA compliant. We've got many curb ramps that aren't compliant. Push buttons aren't in the right locations to be ADA compliant. We've got some sump bridges that create trip hazards because they're set back, and somebody could, easily fall into the sump. Cross slopes are not meeting compliance. You can see they're gathering debris because they're kind of tilted. And then on the south end of the project, down by Applebee's, the sidewalk just ends and there's a gap. So if somebody travels all the way down there, say, in a wheelchair or something, they're gonna have to turn all the way back around, go back to the signal and back around. So it's really not safe for anyone. So we would remove and replace remove the sidewalk, replace it with a 10-foot wide multi-use path, relocate any conflicting signal equipment that we have at the Home Depot intersection. There's some equipment, and then at the Route N intersection, there may be some equipment that needs to be relocated. Relocate any conflicting utilities that might be in the way, handholds, utility poles, and then overall upgrade the pedestrian crossings at the signals. We would put in the high visibility crosswalk blocks also. And this project will connect some adjoining paths. So City of Cottleville has a path that runs along Route N. MoDOT has one that crosses over their bridge at 364, and it goes down to the south to the county park down there. This will kind of connect those dots. We have an existing 8-foot path, if you want to, on the west side of the road. It's not really a path. It's a shoulder. So people are kind of right there with traffic. Again, want to get them away from traffic. So we would improve the safety of for bicyclists and pedestrians, provide a continuous path, get rid of that gap that we've got over there down by Applebee's, and then provide an ADA compliant path and at the signalized crosswalks. Improve visibility of the crosswalks again with the high-vis crosswalk marking, and then connect to all those adjoining paths in the area. We were successful in getting federal funding for this as well. Overall project is pretty cheap, $800,000. On the map, you can see there's that gap there in front of Chick-fil-A, which the county has already funded. The right turn lane project into the Home Depot development. With that project, we're going to go ahead and install the path in that stretch. So with city funding, we're just going to go ahead and install that path. So this does not include that little gap there, but so $800,000. We only asked for 65% federal funding, and we were able to receive that. We were trying to maximize our score to make sure that we got the project. So we were trying to keep our costs as low as possible, our federal ask as low as possible. So we're asking for an 80% of the local match county contribution for 28% of the project. And then our priorities are Jungerman, Spencer, and Mid Rivers, the order that I presented in. So, any questions?
Congratulations on your application for federal funds. That's
Thank
very
you.
impressive, so.
Thank you very much.
Dan?
Amanda,
Yes, sir.
and I'm sorry to go back to this, on the Spencer Road, the funding breakdown,
Yes, sir.
you had mentioned there was another grant that you got
So,
in connection with this?
no, so we applied for a TAP grant from East West Gateway, which we were able to get. That grant only covered, it didn't cover all the items on the project. It only covered all the pedestrian, bicyclist related projects. We want to do some additional bridge maintenance while we're out there. So we're going to do epoxy polymer overlay on the path surface. We want to do the whole bridge while we're there. It doesn't really make sense to have that whole crew come out and do just this teeny little piece. Do the whole bridge surface, seal up all the cracks and extend the useful life of the bridge too. And then replace all the guardrail versus just the side that's got the path on it. So those items are not federally reimbursable, but we are asking for a county contribution for that.
Thank
So,
you.
You're welcome.
But you maximized what you thought you could get in that.
We did.
grant, so.
We did, yeah. Yeah. And again, we kind of were creative with that one and moving the bridge barrier instead of trying to widen the bridge. So
Love it.
we've got a goofy median there that doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions? Good, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Next up is the City of O'Fallon.
Okay, my name is Chris Clerks. I'm the Capital Improvements Manager for the City of O'Fallon. And I want to thank you for your guys' time today and your consideration of our projects. We do have 6 that we have submitted this year, and you can see the list of them there. We're going to just kind of start walking down through these because I have quite a few slides, unfortunately, to get through. So in the interest of time, I want to just keep going. So as far as the project locations map, maybe. There we go. You can see where the general locations are. They're kind of clustered up just a little bit north of I-70 then, and we have 2 that are clustered down there in the southwest area of our city, which is heavily, development is very heavy right now down in that area. So that's where those will cluster in. The first one I'm going to talk about is the West Terra lane realignment. This has been a project that has been on radars for a long time. It all comes down to congestion that we have on West Terra right there at Bryan Road, as you can see in that T intersection right underneath the star. We're looking at a way to improve traffic flow. This was a traffic flow application to you guys. There you go. And you can see in 2022, you guys awarded us some money just to get going on the design. At the time, that was a pretty heavy number, and we have gotten into the design. We've got it all under contract essentially for the full design to get all the way out to construction right now. And you know, there's some things that may come up, but overall, we think we've done pretty good. Another part of that money that you gave us back in 22 went to a very large public engagement effort that we did in 23. That involved talking with all the residents, then also the commercial properties that are along this corridor that we wanted to get this in front of it conceptually, so they're at least aware of the project. So that's where some of the dollars all went to with that. We finished up the conceptual. We're rolling into preliminary right now. We have submitted for federal funds in 2024 through the CMAQ program that East West Gateway puts out. And we have been recommended, that's not official yet until they get all the way through their process, but we have been recommended for half the cost of the project at this time. So we were really excited about that. It makes it much more palatable for us when it comes to asking for county money. And you can see there that with the estimated project cost at about 11.5, and then half of it coming out that we got from the CMAQ, the request for the county would be 4.6 or a little over, and that's for right-of-way and construction. Right-of-way and construction, well, just a quick project description. With the conceptual and going into preliminary, it'll include a roundabout that I'll show you here in a minute that's going to get kind of pulled north and east of where the current intersection is and tie into the West Terra that way. That gives us longer queuing spaces that we can use for any potential backups, but with the roundabout, it actually works out really well. We've been talking with the commercial and industrial companies and businesses along this area, and this roundabout is set up to accommodate at least a 130-foot truck, which would be basically a wrecker, and then the truck and trailer behind it, which happens quite often coming into Peterbilt or some of them other commercial areas can get pretty long trucks through there. We feel like we've got that set up really, really solid. We did do a very detailed traffic study when it came to this intersection specifically. There's been others in the past that have been done, but they never focused on the intersection per se. So that's what our focus was. And you can see that the overall intersection will improve from a level of service. That's what LOS means, is level of service for a roadway, from an E to an A in the build year that we would propose it. So that's a huge jump. We're very excited to see those numbers from what we were seeing in our design study. And as far as safety, that was another key factor for us, is to try to reduce crashes. And right now, statistics are telling us it's roughly 6.5% reduction in crashes. So we were excited to see those numbers coming out the way we were hoping to. It is going to include path connectivity through the intersection. There's curb and gutter and storm installation that will be needed. We are planning on maintaining the GGL infrastructure that's already been through that intersection, because we'll be flipping it from a signalized intersection to a roundabout. We want to make sure that GGL system stays whole, so that'll be part of it. But unfortunately, there is some significant right-of-way impacts to this, as you can see with where the conceptual lays. This could get tweaked slightly, but we anticipate it's pretty much staying with what it is at this point for the alignment. You can see that the two bottom legs of the roundabout also have kind of bypass lanes, so that will help with the heavy truck traffic that comes northbound and then goes eastbound West Terra to Peterbilt and the industrial areas. It's essentially a two-way roundabout from the westbound Terra to go southbound Bryan, so kind of wrapping around the top of the roundabout and coming back down. That stays two-lane, but it kind of goes to a single lane there on the bottom side. Just because the movements are a little bit different than what we needed to clear those movements from westbound Terra Lane over to southbound Bryan. And I can always come back to this. So again, you know, it's a big project. It's got big numbers to it. We know that's sticker shock. We understand that. We were really excited. Like I said, we've got the CMAQ funding, which cut the bill in half. And then we did an 80-20 split with the county for this ask. Second one I want to talk about is Eggering Drive. This is a project that we've been working on for a couple of years. We have secured federal funding. I'll get to that here in a minute, but it essentially goes from the railroad tracks that you see. That's the east entrance of our city hall. That's a very heavy thoroughfare people seem to use as a cut through a lot of times. So we're trying to improve that little stretch from the railroad tracks to the first 90 you see, and then it cuts over to the east, and that second 90 is actually our access right into one of our major parks called Westhoff Park, which is directly connected to where we have the Heritage and Freedom Fest, and the traffic is coming through there all the time. This road, this was submitted as more as a safety application, because we were going to improve the sidewalks through this area for the pedestrian and in bike traveling. We're also going to stripe in bike lanes because this is considered a calm street that bicyclists can use. We do know, I know firsthand, I've talked to people in the biking community that have used this area to get through downtown instead of trying to use Main Street, which gets a little bit hectic, obviously. So that's why it was submitted as that. But then at the same time, we're going to be reconstructing the concrete out there because it's deteriorated. It's a mismatch of asphalt and concrete. When we're doing that, we put in new curbs and gutters. We'll have some storm system that's got to be kind of realigned. It is a full reconstruction, and that is all to help accommodate the new sidewalks that we need to do because there's a lot of residential driveways that go through there. We have to meet ADA requirements, so it gets a little bit challenging. But that's the main intent is to get the people through it safely, both vehicular with vehicles and at the pedestrian and bike level. It's basically just going to stay a 26-foot wide street at this time, but like I said, we'd be adding. It shows the sidewalk there in the bottom, in that top picture on that bottom right, but then there's segments that don't connect to anything, so we're extending it through there to get them to City Hall so people can get to our facility. So again, I explained we had some federal funds we acquired back in 2022. And then for the county road board, the estimate of the project increased a little bit from last year because we added some GGL items to this, which is to get conduits and pole boxes through this, so we would have future connectivity of GGL from City Hall through to our Westhoff Park and through Westhoff Park over to TR Hughes. So we agreed, we've been talking with Amanda and their GGL representatives to make sure that we were at least getting that in. Won't have connectivity right at this time, but we will at least have the infrastructure for it. And then, like I said, we're going to in sidewalk connectivity and bike markings for the Calm Street users for general project description. And then you can see the ask how it breaks down with our $790,000 we got from federal, and then we split the remainder of whatever it was from the total estimate, 80-20 with the county on this too. Oops, backwards. All right. One other thing with Eggering is that this is also planned to be a good connection or another connection to our future Sondern extension that would extend up to the north. I don't know if I can go backwards or not, but either way, it would extend north from Eggering and kind of wrap into Main Street to help as a bypass to help take some of that pressure off of Main Street. But I just wanted to throw that out while I was still on it. Hoff Road Phase 2, that's the third one I wanted to talk about. This is an extension of a project that we had finished a couple years ago now, where Hoff Road Phase 1 it's on the bottom of the picture where my red line starts and it goes back to the tracks. That was our Phase 1 we resurfaced. I believe we had county money in that, but I can't remember 100% sure. And we would extend it north. It's a very heavy, large truck, tractor, trailer situation with the industrial development through there. The road cannot handle it. It's falling apart. We need to reconstruct it. We're going to widen it out, give the truck some space, and widen it out to basically 3 lanes, so it has a dedicated turn lane. We are going to add a little bit of sidewalk on, I think, the east side to help with some of the people that would like to get out and just stretch their legs at lunch or something, because there's no sidewalks out there now. But we would find good termination points for that. But yeah, this would be a full reconstruction and basically a 3-lane roadway when we get done, just to help out with the loading that is on this road every day from the industrial.
Was Phase 1 3-lane, or did that just widen
No,
for that turn and all that?
No, that actually just kind of stayed 2-lane and just widened out a little bit for some shoulder. But this is, and then at that 90, it kind of widens out right there because it ties into Progress West Lane, which actually goes to the environmental services where the dump stuff is. The waste trucks all go, and they're running all the time. It's hard on the roads. So I wanted to show here that federal funds we did acquire $1.9 million in federal funds on this job already. This is considered a new road application. Our total project cost 3.6, which means when we take out the federal and what's remaining, we did 80/20 with the county, so our ask is a little less than 1.4 for design, right-of-way, and construction. We actually have for Eggering and for Hoff Road, and actually all three that I've talked about, we are working into design as of right now with all three of them. We're moving forward. So, but this would be for design, right-of-way, and construction. Talked about the limits and all that, so I won't go over the project description anymore. And then this is just how it breaks down with the ask that we had from you guys this year. The next one I want to talk about is Tom Ginnever and North Cool Springs. It's the intersection that is along Tom Ginnever, and it's kind of tucked right in between those three major components that provide all the traffic that comes through that intersection. What it is now is basically it's an existing three-way stop sign, so the queues get pretty long, especially with school in order right now. That's ending here soon, so that will be getting better, but there's still a lot of traffic that going through there. But we do have a roundabout proposed to where it's essentially 2 lanes kind of through the entire roundabout to help keep pushing that traffic through because of all the school traffic mainly that you see around there. And then it's again a major part for our Heritage and Freedom Fest traffic loading. So we feel that this is going to be very beneficial in many ways for the city to be able to improve this. This is just your typical section of the roundabout. We will have some connectivity through it for path sections because there are kids walking to school and just walking to Ozzie Smith and Carshield Field and all that kind of stuff. So we do have some of that connectivity. Again, we do have federal funds secured for this, and almost $1 million, not quite. So when we took that out and we have the remaining, our ask for county would be $555 basically for design, right-of-way, and construction to help support that. And you can see here that the proposed level of service for this roundabout improves everything to an A in both AM and PM peak times. It's currently, I think, one's like an E and one's like a C right now currently. So either way, we would be able to, and we have proven this through our federal funding. We have to do traffic studies, so we've already done that high level evaluation to show that we do improve this to a level of service A when this is constructed. All right, Dyer Road. I'm going to get into some that are a little bit more pricey now. But I wanted to show you what's going on in that southwest corner I was talking about of the city of O'Fallon, where we're meeting up with multiple jurisdictions, to where we have not only our Deer Road Phase 1 project, which would be from Lynette Lane, just, as you can tell, just a little bit west of Highway DD. We're not going to get all the way to DD with our phase. We'll tie into whatever would work with the county's or MoDOT's changes to Highway DD's intersection. So we're leaving it a little bit short, and then we extend over to Longgate. You can see on the far left of that picture the Harvest subdivision, which we had Dyer Road extension that you guys had provided some funding for. This area is just blowing up right now as far as developments. I think there's still some in discussions. I don't know the details to all of that, but we need to make sure that our infrastructure can actually keep up because we're already behind. So we're going to try to catch up, and then hopefully we will make it better for any future developments that may or may not occur. But you can also see that I wanted to point out, we'd be tying in, once we get into phase 2, we'll be tying into Hopewell Road intersection and road project that the county highway is taking care of. Ultimately, the Lake St. Louis phase 3 extension would tie down into that whole Highway DD and connectivity to Highway DD, however that all comes together. So we just wanted to kind of show how this whole area is working right now and the importance of this project. So as you can see, we did receive county funds from you guys in 2022. What that went towards was the phase 1 design because we weren't quite sure how this project was going to unfold. We didn't think we were going to do the whole corridor, but we wanted to look at it and evaluate it. We also did a very heavy public engagement effort where we've already had one public meeting, had a great turnout, got a lot of good comments. We've been kind of playing with the alignments and tweaking things as best we can to accommodate whatever we did hear from the residents, but at the same time we have to make sure we do what's best for our traffic at the same time. Federal funds have not been acquired or submitted for at this time. We're looking at trying to reclassify this roadway and see if that helps us with some federal funding in the future. So I'm not saying we won't apply, but we just haven't yet. We're working with Amanda's group on that too. But as far as the county road board request, you know, the estimated project as of right now, according to our phase 1 preliminary designs, is about 6.6 or a little less than. So we would be doing an 80-20 split. That includes right-of-way and construction, because design is already taken care of. This would be kind of phase 1, obviously, of the multi-phase project when we move into phase 2, but we'll get into that later. We're more focused on just getting phase 1 going at this time. But it involves basically a new 2-lane roadway. We do plan on having a roundabout at the Paul Renaud intersection. That's always getting, at this time, getting tweaked right now for our preliminary design. We have a 10-foot shared use path that's going to run the entire length essentially from where we're starting our project at Lynette Lane, and eventually when we do phase 2, it'll extend all the way to Harvest Deer Road extension, and what they're doing for Hopewell. So there'll be great path connectivity for this with a 10-foot shared use path. We do have a rapid flashing beacon strategically located on this phase 1, just to get some residents that live on the south side of Deer Road over to the shared use path, which is planned for staying on the north side. We're not doing both sides of the road just to keep costs down. So we do need a rapid flashing beacon in a certain location through phase 1 just to get those residents accessibility to the 10-foot. Then it's got curb and gutter, storm system install, and we do have some GGL infrastructure included with that too. Essentially, it's going to be the same thing: conduits, pull boxes, make sure the infrastructure is there whenever they decide to run their lines, their fibers. This is just a high level. This was an early preliminary of the roundabout at Paul Renaud. Like I said, we're tweaking it. We're trying to minimize the footprint, but make sure we don't impact anything negatively as far as truck or car traffic through this. We have to make sure we can get all traffic through. So we're still playing with it, but I did want to just show that as a slide for now. This is subject to change, so just take it kind of with a grain of salt just to have it out there for you. And again, this is our ask of 80-20 of our right-of-way and construction, you know, utility relocations, things like that for that project. So, and the last one I want to talk about would be the Lake, yeah, I think that's the last one I need to talk about, is Lake St. Louis Boulevard, phase 3. So the star is just that general location. That strip below it that you can see with the red lines in it, the red lines are essentially what the roadway looks like. All the black lines you see kind of parallel to that is the dedicated right-of-way that the city has already acquired for this roadway. We had the conversations back in the day, and I'll get to a slide that has some more information, but this right-of-way has been dedicated to the city for years now, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that, you know, the roadway stays within that right-of-way that we have. It also has a TCE, a temporary construction easement, to the outside of that right-of-way that we'd be able to utilize at the same time, and that was all done when the platting was done for the subdivisions that it's going by. So as far as county funds, we had received, I think in 22, we had about $240,000 for design and right-of-way. Unfortunately, to date, our design costs have creeped up because of some unforeseen things that we've run into when it comes to environmental needs and getting some approvals through. Alignments have been requested for us to look at, so we had to do some alignment evaluations. One thing I do know we've done is we've already kind of reduced the typical roadway section in an effort to reduce costs to this project. We do have a 10-foot shared use path on this project, which would be on the east side. That would then eventually connect into some existing path from the subdivision that's down in that area. We do not have federal funds at this time. Again, we're looking at possibly reclassifying or classifying this because it's not a roadway yet. It's not there, but trying to get the classification on it to where we could go after federal funds. We have not seen that yet. Or submitted for it, but you know, we would plan on looking into that to make sure it would score well and be an effort we could go after. The amount you see there with the estimated project cost at 11.2, the reason that is so high right now is because when we were doing our application, we were in flux of what we were actually going to be able to do. We were talking to the Corps over multiple different things, and as an option we were looking at the time would have been potentially installing a bridge instead of just, you know, grading and roadway like you would typically see. Bridges are expensive, so that added significant cost to the project. There would be added design, we would have to do all this other stuff. So we've actually incorporated that in the application you see today in your packets, just to make sure that if it comes back to that's what we have to do by whatever virtue makes us do it, then we would have that covered instead of being underwater when it comes to the funding. So we've kind of done a worst case scenario on this funding application, assuming at that time when we submitted, because we ran out of time, we didn't have the answers, assuming worst case scenario. Now that being said, we have had some conversations since then with our designers, and we do think, and we've had conversations with the Corps through this whole thing, and DNR, we've been talking to all the permitting people from day one pretty much. But what we're looking at is being able to get away with not doing a bridge, just doing some piping, making sure the creek channels stay generally where they're at or staying where they're at, being able to handle the flows that we need to, minimizing impact as much as we can, that kind of stuff. So we do believe that cost is going to come down from the 11 million that you see, because we won't, at this time, we're not planning on going towards a bridge, but we have to get some final answers still too. So I just want to let you know that we're a little bit in flux, but we wanted to at least get it in front of you so you know how, for one, this is an important project for O'Fallon and I think for St. Charles County as a region, just because I do believe this will take some of the pressure off of some of those other roads in the area. Deer Road, whenever it's reconstructed, will act as the same. So this is all part of that planning that we're trying to catch up to, because all of the developments have already happened and we're a little bit behind on the infrastructure. So we do believe this is very important. It's going to be a very important piece to the county system. So, and we have been coordinating with St. Charles County Highway, because they have the portion to the south of us. And I won't speak too much to that, but I do want to just let you know that we are working with them on all that. So another bigger cost in this is there are some larger retaining walls that will be needed. One of them is actually to help protect the spring that is down in that area. We don't want to impact that or affect it, so we have to build some larger walls to make sure that our roadway can be pulled away from it far enough, and make sure that stays in its current shape. So there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and what I wanted to show you here was just some of the history of this planned corridor. This isn't something the city just dreamed up recently. We've been working on something with the city's thoroughfare. It was shown back in 2005 as far as needing something with, you know, when they were reviewing the proposed Prestonwood subdivision. I was not there at that time, but this is the timeline that we do have. In 2008, the corridor was identified, approved by Planning and Zoning Commission of O'Fallon. In 2014, Prestonwood's Plat 7A was recorded, and the right-of-way with that TC that I was talking about was dedicated over to the city for use. So it's city property now. It's just covering what is common ground of Preston Woods. So, and then in 2021, we began the design on the planned roadway corridor, but it's been meeting some challenges ever since then, and we've just been working through them. So in 2021, early 22, I had already alluded to it. We were trying to figure out if we could do anything with the alternate alignments. So we had we had to have our consultant do that. That was some of the overages, and we found that it was not economically feasible for us to do that. But we're always trying to make sure that we're minimizing the impact and still getting the roadway that we need to carry the traffic that we think it's going to. So just wanted to give you a little heads up on that. And then this is the breakdown. Again, that 11.2 includes that bridge. I just want to reinforce that. We do believe it is coming down. We need those final answers. We can get those to Amanda whenever we do find them. We've been talking with Amanda through this whole process. So just wanted to let you know that. And it's an 80-20 split. You guys usually ask for a priority. You can see that Lake St. Louis is number 6. That was generally because we didn't have some of the answers, so we didn't know if we wanted to prioritize it very high. That being said, all these answers are starting to trickle in, so that priority might change. Hopefully you guys would consider working with us on that. But the top 4 out of the 6 all have federal funding involved with them, into a tune of, I didn't do the math, but it's probably close to $10 million of federal funding that we've already secured or will secure, because generally when you're recommended, like on the West Terra Lane for the CMAQ, generally you get it if you're recommended. Not 100%, I don't want to count my chickens, but at this time we're very confident we will be moving forward with that one. So. And then I just wanted to give you a funding summary, just ripping the Band-Aid off. I mean, we're essentially asking for $21.8 million. We know it's a lot. We appreciate your guys' consideration of any and all of them. We also understand that everybody else needs a piece of the pie, but we just wanted to show the depth of important projects that we have going right now, and we do have in the future also for upcoming years. So, any questions? Or want me to go back to anything? I went through a lot of slides.
For Lake St. Louis, since we had a public speaker, I mean, did you do public engagement on that? A couple of the others you mentioned you did to get input and that type thing?
So I know that the city of O'Fallon has specifically met with Preston Woods HOA at least once. I've not been part of those conversations, so I can't speak to it. But we provided as much information, or a lot more information than I provided to you today, on how the right-of-way came to be and the fact that the city has the right to do that. The alignment has not changed from 2005 that we know of. I can't speak to the articles that were shown previously. I don't know where those come from, but from the city standpoint, it's always been established as far as where that right-of-way is. That was done through our planning and zoning through our proper channels. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Question on that same project.
Mhm.
There's an exhibit in our folder.
Yes.
So can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a scary picture, I would say, but what that was from was our consultant, and that's the hydraulic modeling that they do for the stormwater systems. And what we need to make sure we do conveyor, we have to convey the water and we have to do it properly, and there's certain limits we have to make and all that. So that's what that's from. You see all the blue in there. That's generally the volume or the spread of the water in a very high rain, or in a rain event. I wouldn't say very high, but
100 years. That's a
yes,
100 year.
it's the 100. Yeah, so it shows the 100-year event, and we have design standards we have to meet. So they are designing it to meet our standards, and that 100-year is what we have to design to. So it shows the spread of the water through that area and how it will act. Generally, how it will act with the roadway there. The blue is, I think the yellows and the greens that you see in there are like a higher concentration of water going with higher velocities. And that's generally what's going to happen when you pipe something. So we're trying to make sure that we're keeping that as controlled as we can so we don't have any issues with creek erosion, things like that. We also have houses. If you're looking at the picture to the west of it, I guess the west side of that picture, that we have to also keep in mind that the creek runs right behind them. So obviously we're making sure that whatever our stormwater design does, it does not impact negatively any houses or the creeks as best as we can.
So this is are you piping?
That would show a general location of a pipe, potential pipe. It's just general. It's not the exact pipe. It's not the exact length. It's not the exact location. That's just a general, hey, this is kind of where we think it would go. And then all that water that blue that you see kind of on the back side of that, because it's coming downhill to where that pipe would be and then going through the pipe. That's kind of the spread of the water through there in that location. So it makes it look like a lake, but it's not a lake. It's only at 100 year, it's like a foot deep maybe. So somewhere in there. So I don't have all that information in front of me. So if you guys have specific questions, we can definitely get that for you.
Okay.
But what I was talking about with the pipe system that we think we can do, we're looking at, not just one pipe, maybe we use multiple pipes and then we can convey the water properly or a little bit better than what that was showing. That's the early version. That's not the newest version. So,
Okay.
Yep, that was just our first version.
And then I had one more question as a result of what the public comment was earlier in the configuration or the I guess, the alignment of the road that you're talking about? It looks like it's in the middle of the woods, so that there would be a natural buffer already between the houses. Is that right?
So, yeah, I mean, it kind of cuts down into that common ground. It's not on the edge of the common ground, if that's what you're asking. It's not on the edge, no. I think the road is, I don't know exact numbers, but I want to say around 100 feet from the nearest property. So I'd have to look back and get that answer. But, yeah, the roadway's not moved over to the edge of the common ground area. It does go through it, yes.
Okay.
And like I said, that was all established through whenever they did the Preston Woods plat for planning and zoning to get the development built.
And then the last question, is there some sort of building there that's some Indian tribe, or what was that about?
That's on county highway segment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't speak to that one, yeah. But we are all working together on all the environmental stuff, because honestly, the Corps asked us to, when we submit, for the permit on our side, and then we were talking and coordinating with county highway, we have to combine it into one, so it's submitted as one project.
Got it.
That's how they want to do the permitting. So we've been all working through our I guess our challenges and our designs kind of separately, but then we come together, we coordinate it, we'll put it together, and we'll submit it for what is called the 404.
Got it.
So,
Thank you.
Other questions?
On the Hoff Road project, how many employees are impacted on that east side?
that's a very good question. I do not have an answer.
Okay.
I apologize. There's a lot of industrial
No,
in there.
it was a stretch.
Yeah.
Is there any current construction, industrial construction on the west side that you're aware of?
Yes, there is some industrial development. It's kind of towards the middle north side of the road. SAK is there. They've got their lots, I think, on that side.
Okay.
So there is some industrial, and then there's at least one, if not two buildings on that road too, on the
Okay.
west side. It may not show up very well in that picture.
Okay, another question on the West Terra. Where the roundabout is, there at Bryan, on the north side of Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
The single lane on that roundabout on the bottom, is that going to cause a problem in 5 years or 10 years with eastbound traffic on that north side? There's a lot of new residential development. I'm curious why the city chose to do one lane there and not two.
So you're saying like right in, you can't
Yeah,
see.
so if you've got the two lanes going around, like
Yeah.
you mentioned, if you're driving west, you got the two lanes, you go around the top and you head south across to Bryan, right?
Yep.
But coming from the west side, there's a single lane on the south side of the roundabout. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you'd have, if you're coming into the actual roundabout, it actually has a double lane, and then it transitions into a single.
Double lane on the southbound, then eastbound or single?
Yeah, going eastbound, once you get through the roundabout, it turns into a single, it looks like, and again, we're kind of tweaking this, but I'm pretty sure that's what we're gonna stick with. I think the reason behind this, and I'd have to talk with our traffic engineers, is we do have the bypass lane, so that will help with moving traffic through that portion of it. If people are going westbound, we're confident that most of the trucks are gonna use the bypass lane, most likely.
Yeah, that's mostly industrial, but there's residential out there.
There is, yeah. And that's what we're trying to make sure we can do is and we can look at that again, that's,
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Last question is, on the Tom Ginever project, alleviating that traffic at the school there at the three-way, how is that gonna get people all the way out to 79 and all the way to K? How many other stops are along the way?
If you're going to the east, you run into like Pearl Drive. I think that's a pretty straight shot to get out to 79 from there, if I remember right.
Is it, I guess my question is you just kicking the can down the road for a future problem, or is it solving it for all the way out to 79?
I know we're focused on trying to clear it for mainly school traffic.
School traffic.
And the amount of traffic that uses that, not just for schools, but for everything else in the area. I don't know how it would negatively impact getting out to 79, because I don't know how many people use
if there's
that.
another stop there, right? So we're just
Yeah.
fast tracking past the school, then there's gonna be a further bottleneck at this next stoplight.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I would have to look at, I can't remember exactly how that setup is over there. But we could, we can look at that and make sure that we address it if we need to.
Yeah.
Or we look at it for a future project of we get this one built and then we see how,
Right.
we see
I'm
the
curious if
trends.
this was a stacked project.
Yeah, yeah,
plan.
it could turn into that. I mean, and ultimately, we're looking at trying to do stuff at Tom Ginnever and Main Street someday. That's gonna be a project. Someday, we're working our way down Main Street to
Right.
help improve that, because we need turn lanes on Main Street, and there's, discussion on that ongoing all the time. So this could be potentially, if we start seeing, vehicle use becoming an issue further to the east, because there is I believe there is a industrial area out there too off Pearl Drive. And I don't know how much it backs up at night or in the morning at 79 in that area. Because MoDOT's doing a green tea on 79 right now that's gonna help out, I think, that area in general. That'd be taking T.R. Hughes around. If you keep going north from Carshield Field and you do that little loop past
I know where the loop
Ameren,
is.
they're doing a green
Yeah.
tea off of there, and I think that's gonna significantly help 79 in itself. It's
Yeah.
kinda acts like Highway K, South Highway K has that, so, we're excited to get that going, because I know 79 can be a bottleneck.
Do kids cross the road there currently?
We've seen, I haven't personally seen them, but
Really fast.
people have been walking along there. I just, school let out, you have kids walking. It's just nature of the beast, because I think
So
buses
how is that
don't
gonna
even.
help that if cars aren't stopping?
So with roundabouts, you put in like protected medians and stuff, so you only have to cross a single, like a kid could cross from the roadway side into a median, and if he needed to, he could stop. We use high visibility, from that median, then cross after that. You use high visibility crossings, signage. Generally, roundabouts are pretty safe when it comes to that. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head.
I'm
but-
interested, because I'm just thinking, you and I probably played Frogger when we were kids, right? That's I'm thinking of that, right?
Yeah, I didn't live around roads like some of the ones we have around here, so, it's always one of our concerns. We have actually already reached out to Zumwalt School District, we have reached out to Christian High, and then obviously the other one was our facility, with Ozzie Smith, and both of those school districts are proponents
They're on board.
of that, yeah. Yep, we've already talked that. There will be public meetings on all these projects that we've talked about. If we haven't already had one, we'll have one. And I'm gonna have another one on Deer Road here as soon as we have preliminary. So we're gonna keep them as involved as we, or as updated as we can, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, good questions. If you need anything though, just let me know if there's an answer that I didn't answer, please. I can get you the answer.
I'm satisfied at this point, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Anyone else?
I appreciate
Thank you
your,
very much.
all right, I appreciate your guys' time, guys and gals' time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Highway, please.
Afternoon, Chris Bostic, Project Manager, St. Charles County Highway Department. And I will have 4 projects for you today. Maybe.
Back and back, presentation. Oh, that's right. Can you guys bring up the county highway presentation back there? We lost them.
There we go. All right. I can see it here.
There it comes. There it is.
Okay. Well,
There we go.
yeah, we can see it. Excellent. All right. So as I mentioned, I have 4 projects for you today. Bringing to you projects that will all be brand new, starting design. All projects
Is now joining.
that have been recommended for funding in the latest funding cycle. So as Chris mentioned earlier, it's not officially approved at this point and won't be for a little while, but they have all been recommended. So we'll start with the road project, and this is Josephville Road Phase 3. It's a continuation of the other 2 projects that have been funded by federal government and the road board. So the first Josephville Road Phase 1 was all the way up by Highway P down to roughly around the church. And then second phase takes us down to this point here at the very north end of the red line on the map there. And then this project runs then for a little over 9/10 of a mile down to Route A, which this actually turns out to be the busiest section of the road. It has almost twice the ADT of the other sections, so we're about 3,900 vehicles a day. The pavement rating was similar to all the others, so a 4 out of 10 is a road definitely in need of some improvement. Now, these are just like the rest of Josephville Road. It's a narrow 2-lane road. There's no shoulders out there. We obviously have drop-offs, obstructions, etc. And this one has some 90-degree turns just like the other phases did. So just sample picture for you here. Just immediately north of Mexico Road, we have curves with a lot of vegetation along the roadway. You got narrow pavement over the culverts with the hard obstacle, the culvert head walls there. And then from the opposite end, looking the other way, leading into one of those curves. So our proposed section on this one is going to be 11-foot wide lanes, which is what's there now, but adding a 5-foot shoulder on both sides and then improving the ditches. So pushing the vegetation back, improving the drainage, and making it a little easier, safer if unfortunately necessary you run off the road. You're not going to go straight into a tree or a culvert head wall or something. So there is a note on the bottom I should point out there. It says 12-foot lanes and 4-foot shoulders. That's actually what we proposed on the other 2 projects. So I kind of stole this exhibit from those, but those projects are also being changed to 11-foot lanes and 5-foot shoulders because 5-foot is considered better for usage of bicyclists. All right, a financial plan on this one. As I mentioned, it is recommended for federal funding in the amount of $1.3 million. So we come to you for the remainder of funding to start design in 25, acquire right-of-way in 26, and then it's currently set up for construction in 2028, and we would accelerate to 27 if possible. Right now, that's just how the Fed said we couldn't start this project before 28. So it's roughly just under $2 million from the road board and 1.3 federal is the request. All right, now I have 3 projects for you. They're all going to seem pretty similar. They're all bridge replacements. So we did 3 with you last year. We have 3 more this year. The first of which is Oberhelman Road Bridge. This is in far western or almost southwestern St. Charles County. It's not terribly far off Highway T. It's south of Forest Hill Road. This is a project that would just replace the bridge in place. The road will be closed with detour. I'll have it done in 2 or 3 months. The bridge rating percentage-wise isn't that bad, but as a structurally deficient and as a substructure condition is a 4. Whenever you hit a 4 or less, it's on a 1 to 10 scale. If you're 4 or less, it becomes eligible for federal funding. So we have been targeting those. Once we do these 3 bridges, then we'll be back to where we don't have any considered deficient bridges in the county on our system. This one does have a load posting, 53 tons. I mean, it's a low ADT. That's a little north-south connector. And this picture is what we have going on, which is like most of these bridges, there's a lot of rusting typically on the outside girders, but we also have some underneath, some infiltration through the deck, which is what makes it a substructure problem. So cost on this one, it's not exactly an 80-20, but it's kind of close. The difference is we usually don't ask for federal funding in design because it just slows things down. So we do 80-20 split on the rest with the right-of-way and construction costs. So we have $604,000 federal funds recommended, and we need an extra $276,000 to do this project. The next one I have for you is Shwady Road Bridge. Recently worked on that curve on Shwady Road. In the picture you can perhaps see just north of the bridge in between the trees where the road used to be, and we smoothed that out. Now the bridge is to the point it needs to be replaced. So it won't be a whole lot of road work on this one either. And the bridge rating was about the same. It was also substructure of 4, structurally deficient. We have ADT around 2,000. The pictures are going to look almost exactly the same as the other one. And what we're looking at on this is also a similar cost, 80-20 on right-of-way and construction. So we got $644,000 recommended federally, and we're looking for $286,000 on this one. And the last bridge I have for you is Sneak Road. This is a little bit farther west than Oberhelman. It's almost out of the county. It's 1,500 feet east of Route T. And this one is another just straight road, replace the bridge, close the road, replace the bridge in place. Similar bridge rating percentage, but you'll see from the pictures it actually looks a whole lot worse. So it has substructure problems as well as the superstructure. It's structurally deficient, and they note the severe section loss. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like in a second. It's another pretty low ADT road, but the bridge is not looking particularly good on the outer girders. So this one, again, very similar cost. It's $587,000 recommended federally, $273,000 is what we are asking for on this project. And that is everything I have for you today.
You had in the package Salt River Road multi-use path?
Correct. That was not recommended for funding, so we've decided that we're either going to try for TAP funds or try again next year.
Thank you. Any questions?
All right.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any new business this evening?
Okay, so, as was noted, we did really well on federal funds this year. Some of the cities lag a year, so like, I think St. Peter's got most of those last year and in last year's TAP cycle, but we got, sorry, I have my handy list here. We got almost 25% of all federal funding for the Missouri side of the region, so St. Louis City got 27.8% and St. Louis County got 27.9%, just for comparison. So we were really happy with what we did, or how we did, and have a lot of good stuff coming. I think everybody's concerned about budget. I think I did put in some numbers this afternoon to try to kind of see where we are. I haven't checked anything. I haven't done any like major checking in and looking through things. But with some of these projects being out in 28, it does help with DHP. I did already have a chunk of money kind of accounted for because I knew that was coming. Their ask was higher than that. They also do have a lot of contingency in their ask because they're still so early in design, which everybody always is, but I would rather them overestimate than underestimate. So I am glad he came to you with that ginormous number that's giving us all heartburn. But we'll kind of score everything out, see what happens. I guess relating back to Arnie's point about scoring and transparency, we did change the application. I think you guys saw in reviewing that they look different this year than they have in previous years. So we have more information than we've had. We also have an active safety plan. We have a gateway bike plan. We have a better course on GGL with kind of what we're ultimately trying to do. So we're pulling from all these different plans that we have in place to try to make sure we're doing the projects that make the most sense, and we are scoring them as that. Just when they get federal funds, obviously that means they scored well in their scoring criteria, so that bodes well for us. We're kind of looking for similar things. Also, with this amount of federal funds we got, I will also say there were projects where we should have asked for more. Like Chris's Josephville Road, I wish we had put in for more. He was getting the max points for cost, but our projects are scoring really well now. So we kind of don't have to do that for every project anymore, which is great. Like you saw, Chris got $5.7 million for that roundabout. That's huge. That's a huge number. And really good that we're being recognized as having needs and being, a priority of the region. So I wanted to point that out, and everything is on our website as far as what projects we're doing, where they are. how much funding is spent. So you can see all of that. We try to be as transparent as possible. We are at 40 million a year in sales tax income, so we do have a little more to work with than we have. So again, I still need to go through, pull in federal funds that we have coming from like my office projects, but by the work session, I will have all that. I will have everything put in the year that it's supposed to be in, so we can kind of look at where we are. I am, as Chris alluded to, working with the city of O'Fallon a lot on their projects, just because they're, and County Highway is as well, because they all kind of connect. We are trying to get a lot of things reclassified as growth happens out there. After this, there's a P&Z meeting about the, I can't think what they're calling it now, I just looked it up. Highlands at Bush Wildlife Development that's proposed on Highway DD now, no longer Tall Tree. So there's things happening there. There's all the things happening west on Rod End. There's a lot of needs in that area, and hopefully East West Gateway agrees with that, and we can get some federal funds for Deer and Lake St. Louis Extension and DD and, you know, all that down the road. So we're busy. We're coordinating a lot, and yeah, hopefully that helps. Are there any questions from you guys about any of that sort of stuff?
What was the percentage again in St. Charles County?
We got 24.7%.
Wow.
Yep. And then I know Robert asked me about I-70. So if there's nothing else about any other things, I'll talk briefly about I-70. Okay. I don't know what you want to know exactly.
Well, if we're going design build, which is what we've been told now,
Yes.
that means that everything that's been done kind of goes into this big black hole, and we don't see anything until the project is awarded.
So the railroad portion will be done as designed because they have final plans. So that will just be handed over, and they'll provide their cost for that, and that'll be considered in the whole judging. The interchange, you're correct. I will have no say. We will not see that. MoDOT has a project in their STIP that doesn't cover the full cost of what they have designed to date. I think they have $50 million, maybe 60 in their STIP, and the project, although I need to look, there's a new STIP out. But the project was estimated at like 120, yeah. So they're hoping that by tossing their STIP money in with the design build, they can get more than they would have gotten with just the STIP, because generally with design build, they're able to throw more at it because they don't have to go through, they can do design exceptions, which are huge cost savings, which usually, it's hard to get MoDOT to agree to some things when you're going through the regular process. It's kind of, we won't talk about it.
Just go back
to
the section that we just got, that's in process right now with design build, and we certainly didn't get what we wanted.
We did not. But, I mean, it's not my road, so there's not really much I can say to it. Now, we did do a cost share for Forest Cell Interchange. We provided $8 million for an $8 million match. We're trying to get them to kind of pull some other funds in because we've done so much along the corridor. We're still kind of waiting to see what budget they leave us with, but we made that an ad alternate. So we will actually get to see what is proposed before they build something. So if we don't like it, we can just say, we're gonna do it, we're gonna figure it out and do it differently. So.
No, we can't really do that because MoDOT, it's MoDOT's right away, okay?
Well, they won't build anything. They'll just.
Yeah, they won't do anything.
Yeah, that's our option. Yeah. So I mean, at least we're not gonna get something we really don't want. But, you know, again, like you just said, it's MoDOT's right away. It's their road. So we have to just kind of do what we can do and try to protect ourselves. So because we're making an investment, we are asking that we get to see it, and that we can say.
When you say we get to see it, you mean you get to see it?
Well, me and whoever. It's
won't.
different than the design.
We won't get to see it.
Yeah, you probably won't get to see it, no. the county gets to see it, yeah, before we say we're doing this. And there's a lot that goes into design build, so I'm still good with it. I'm still good with design build. I think these are good design build projects. I was talking before the meeting. They've already done the award for the Columbia section, and it's great. Like, I think it's amazing. I think what they did on 270 was really good. We just happened to, and I also, I mean, ours is good. Like, we got a good product. The buoys are very nice, and I'm told they're functioning. Cave Springs looks great. It's just that we have to come back and build as a north outer road, so.
And an overpass that you didn't get.
We're not. We're not gonna do it. That was never gonna be in there because we didn't have enough money. I mean, we just didn't have enough money. So. Anything else? I think that's all I have.
So there is a question about the next scheduled meeting.
Oh yeah, it's a federal holiday. It is not a holiday for me. So what do you guys want to do? We can move it. It's the 19th of June. We could move it back a week. I think I could move it up a week, or we can do it that day. It doesn't matter to me.
Do we make a motion?
I'm
What do
not
we do?
saying it when I have
Are we
something.
that sort of board?
So the county's open.
The county is open, yeah. Yep.
I'm available.
Fine with me.
Are we all
Okay.
available?
Just leave it alone?
I'm available.
Okay. That's fine. I just want to, the county was closed and you weren't
Yeah.
going to be here.
No, I meant to bring that up. It will be back over in my office as long as, they've been redoing air conditioning. It's kind of a mess, but we do have air. So as long as everything is up and running and it's not too crazy, we'll have it there. All right, cool.
Anything else for the good of the order? Not, I accept the motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much for your time, everybody.
Sorry, it's a marker.
Is now exiting.